This WNBA offseason killed a lot of dumbass narratives, right? It really did. And I hope they're gone for good. And I hope we spend so much less time discussing nonsense.
DeWanna Bonner has made her return to Twitter after a 6-month hiatus, and her latest post has generated considerable buzz. While announcing her signing with the Indiana Fever, she's also rewriting the narrative surrounding an unfair reputation that has long followed her.
But I think we've seen it stamped out this offseason. And one of those narratives was people wouldn't want to go to the Fever because of the Fever fan.
You might be asking yourself, isn't that the team known for its controversial fans? However, Bonner's tweet is changing the narrative, and there's far more to this story than meets the eye.
It goes to show you that I think hopefully all that stuff has been put in the rear view. And of course, Bonner.
Brace yourself. What Bonner just said is about to shake up the WNBA. The upcoming season won't be the same. Here's why this matters. Imagine B scrolling through her phone, expecting the usual posts, but then she sees something that really gets her fired up.
I'm online for 2 times. One is to call out the crazy people attacking her right now because
Bonner faced backlash for joining the Indiana Fever, but instead of backing down, she responded with a tweet that hit like a game-winning shot. She stood strong, defending her decision with the intensity of a player going all out in the 4th quarter.
I don't get on here often because this app is insanely too much sometimes. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the love I've received so far. Deaf, not unnoticed. The love is real.
Bonner's tweet wasn't just for her. It was for the Fever fans too. She shut down the talk about no one wanting to play for Indiana, backing the fans who deserve better and are ready to support a winning team.
And I think after what happened last season, Fever fans are probably starving for that. And I think seeing the validation of the players choosing their team.
You might wonder why this matters. As a veteran and champion, Bonner's words carry weight. Her tweet is a call for unity, urging the WNBA to focus on the game, the fans, and supporting one another.
And it's funny because if you're seeing like DeWanna Bonner, if you're seeing like Natasha Howard, on social media, Natasha Howard's posts are getting 100 times more likes, and DeWanna Bonner's being reacted more positively probably.
And you know what? People are listening. The response has been massive. Fans are rallying behind her, and other players are showing support. The conversation around the Fever and their fans has completely shifted.
No argument that the Fever are a great basketball destination. That Caitlin Clark is a great...
It's like Bonner hit the reset button. Her tweet isn't just changing minds, it's changing the game. One tweet, and the WNBA world is buzzing with fresh energy. You've likely heard about the Fever fan controversy, but here's the full story. It began when a friend of Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner claimed that the Fever's fan base was so toxic, players were avoiding the team.
11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called.
Here's the twist. Despite what Thomas said, big names like DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard are signing with Indiana. It's like they didn't even hear about the so-called toxic fan base. Crazy, right?
To all the crazy people on social media calling her every name under the sun because she chose to play in Indiana. These are the same people who are like, oh, she'll never play Indiana for obvious reasons. And she went and defended the Indiana fans and was like, talking about, she was basically like, talking positively about the fans that were directing her positively, and was responding to one of the crazy posts about her being like, I'm getting screenshots of things you were saying about me, can you just...
The numbers tell a different story. The Fever's fan engagement is booming, packed arenas, and active social media. With Caitlin Clark on board, even more fans are joining. The team once labeled with a toxic fan base is now gaining new supporters. It just doesn't add up.
The Fever fan base being painted with this broad brushstroke was always just stupid, really. There's no other word for it, because Caitlin Clark brought more fans to the league than it's ever seen. So many of them are Fever fans, and the new fans that come in outnumber the old fans that were already there. You don't want to tell those...
The Fever fan base isn't as toxic as some claim. While there are a few bad apples, every team has them. The truth is, they're just a small part of the Fever community.
And a lot of fans, I think, felt unwelcome as a result of that, because when you look at every sport and every fan base, there are going to be bad apples. With every group of people, there are. And the larger that group becomes, of course, then the larger the small percentage of bad apples are. But if you've ever followed sports, you see people acting stupid online or even live.
Here's the real surprise. Why are star players flocking to Indiana? Maybe it's the chance to win, more endorsements, or perhaps they've realized the Fever fans aren't as bad as some say.
If you're playing well, it's great to be a Fever. If you're playing badly, it is the worst place you can be. And if you're a WNBA player, you've got to be able to handle that.
Think about it. If the fan base was truly that toxic, would top players be eager to join? No chance. They're seeing something completely different from what we've been told. And you know what? I bet they're right.
With Natasha Howard, it was very clear that like that potential for stardom, which she never had in her career, no matter how good she's been, outweighed like any potential like downsides of playing for the Fever. And then for DeWanna Bonner, she had all those connections to Indiana. She had connections to Stephanie White.
You might think you know what's happening with the Indiana Fever, but there's a comeback no one saw coming. Once called radioactive, they're now the hottest ticket in town. What changed? Caitlin Clark. She's bringing new energy, packed arenas, and making Indiana more appealing to players.
And like I've said, there's so many pros to playing for the Indiana Fever. The pros being that you get more attention, you get more endorsements, you get a chance to win, you get fans on the road.
But here's the twist. It's not just about Clark. We're seeing all-stars and fan favorites like Bonner and Sydney Colson eager to join the Fever. These big names are after something bigger than just basketball.
So many players decided they were going to go to the Indiana Fever in the offseason, which was the death knell for a lot of those narratives. You know, they weren't traded. Cunningham was traded there, but Natasha Howard signed with the Indiana Fever. And I think more importantly, DeWanna Bonner signing with the Indiana Fever was representative of that. Sydney Colson as well, of course. But Bonner, because she is, you know, in a relationship with Alyssa Thomas, and Alyssa Thomas had said what she said about fans after the playoff loss, it goes to show you that I think hopefully all that stuff has been put in the rear view.